Good evening and welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. It is Monday night all over again, and we are thankful to be here after a full holiday of friends and family. And so, you know what it is. It's Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. And tonight, our special guest is Chanell Smith, author of Lonely Sunday, My Personal Journey with Vitiligo and Self Image. Welcome, Chanell, to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. Thank you for
Thank
being here.
you. Thank you.
Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is brought to you by Eyeless Diamonds LLC, Lee's Press, Milton McCulloch, author of Love and Emancipation, and a Dante production, who is featuring dueling saxophones on July 16th at 2 p.m. at Cinematique on Beach Street in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach. And the Fresh Book Festival is, of course, February 22, 23, 24 in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach in 2024. We hope that you will be able to make it. We are going to celebrate the first 13, since it'll be our 13th year. There were actually 13 authors at the first book festival. I'm going to bring them all back and celebrate them and their accomplishments over the last 13 years. If you have any questions for Chanell, please leave them in the chat box. And this conversation is being recorded. So Chanell, hey, thanks for coming.
Hey. Oh,
Give
thank
us
you.
a brief background, please.
Okay. Well, my name is Chanell. I grew up as a military child. My parents were my father was in the Army. They divorced when I was 7. My mom came all the way to the West Coast. And I found out later on purpose to get me away from my father. I am a father's child. My father has now been gone since 2015. But long story short, my father put his foot down, said every summer from the age of 8 to the age of 18, I went back home. School was out on one day. I was on a plane. I was one of those people that was flying by themselves on a plane every summer, and I did not want to come back.
Yeah.
I have 30, I'm the oldest girl of 40 cousins, first cousins. So I had a very big family and did not want to come back. I will be fighting to come back. So I miss my father every day, but California, the West Coast is where I live. And that's pretty much it. Went to school, graduated. You asked me a question about sign language, learn that. I am in assessment for mental health for children now, and I'm working on some other goals. Everybody keep telling me if I'm going to get my doctorate. I don't think so. No, I think I'll do some other stuff.
There's a lot more. I mean, listen, PhDs are nice, and it's nice to
Yeah,
say.
but I'm
I'd like to
good.
start. I like to start my name with doctor. It might be nice, but
I'm
uh,
good. I'd rather
yeah,
travel. If I could
yeah.
just travel every couple months, I'd be like, bye.
Because
See you.
that PhD will cost you some money unless somebody else is going to pay for it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you did touch on the bi-coastal thing. So how did you root in each place? Now, one place had 1,000 cousins. So how did you handle the East Coast?
Um, you mean the West Coast? Because
West
that's where yeah, the West Coast, it took me a minute. It still has its moments. I just went back to the East Coast for a happy occasion. And sometimes I
So
look around.
wait a minute. So your mom was on the
East
West
Coast. My parents were on the East Coast, and
okay,
when they got divorced, and my mom moved me 3,000 miles away
to the
because
West.
her maternal family was out here on the West Coast.
Okay.
And then I found out later as I got older, she did it for a reason to kind of get back at my dad. And then my dad put his foot down, like I said, and said, no, she comes to stay with me every summer for 3 months. So I would stay with him, my grandmother, and my maternal aunt. And my maternal aunt, Aunt May, is like our matriarch of our family now. So, but the West Coast, it took me a minute to adjust. Um, and some days it's still, when I go back home, I get melancholy. Is that the word?
Yeah, that's good work.
Um, but I do love the weather. I'm not a cold weather girl. So it is what it is. My career is here. And you asked a question of one, I was looking at some of the questions, but I'll say this. I have a daughter. She is 36. I had her when I was 16. And my goal was to go back when I graduated from high school, go back east and start my life back there because I was old enough to say I want to go back.
Right.
But then I discussed it with her father, and he begged me not to take his daughter away. And because I had experienced it when I was younger, I couldn't do that to him or my daughter. So
Right.
I stayed, and I got roots here and everything. And by the time it was time for me to possibly leave, I had education, career was going well, and I decided to stay. So that's just how things happen.
Well, I mean, the Bible says to bloom where you're planted. So if
That's
you're
right.
planted there, you're supposed to plant some roots,
And I'm blooming.
and you're blooming, right? And so let's talk about that ASL interpreter.
Mhm.
And was that part of your life purpose? I mean, you don't wake up one morning and say, "Oh, really, I just really want to be a sign language interpreter." That just doesn't, yeah. Tell us
No.
how, especially melanated people.
Well, it's a blessing because even now, almost 30 years now, it's still a blessing and a
Yeah.
way to make extra income.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I took one class. I was in a community college for nursing. My goal was to be an RN and did not do too well. I think I had too much going on and took one class in sign language and fell in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my teachers saw me walking and said, Chanell, what's the matter? I said, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do in my life. I don't know if I want to be a nurse. I want to be. And then so she was deaf, and I went into her office. She was signing away. I'm understanding what and she said, won't you just become a medical sign language interpreter? I'm like, what's that? So you go to the hospital, they contract you out. So that was the plan.
Okay.
But I ended up getting a job in the educational system and did that for 10 years for elementary. And then eventually, 5 years later, my boss said, Chanell, are you interested in becoming an interpreter at the high school? And I was ready because the little kids were starting to get on me at that time. I
Right.
needed it. So it was a blessing because the teacher that was there was educated. She was so educated, and she graduated from NYU, and she taught me the sophisticated
Mm.
sign, and then the kids taught me the the slang sign. So I had a little bit of everything, and then I was doing it at church, so I had a little bit of balance. If
Yeah,
you
yeah.
and I did that for 5 years, but a lot of the kids at the high school were in foster care.
Yeah.
And so they would tell me things, and I'm like, you guys, if you tell me this, I have to disclose this and report it to child abuse. And they were like, okay. They wanted me to tell.
Oh.
So one day the light bulb went off, and I said, maybe I need to go back to school and get my bachelor's because I only had my AA. And then I said, maybe I need to go back to school. And then one day I just went, applied, and then that the rest is history. I got my bachelor's and my master's in 6 years. And I
Mm.
went to Dominguez, Cal State Dominguez, and then I went to USC, the University of Southern California, for my master's. So I am a proud USC Trojan.
You're all right.
I almost didn't finish, so people think I'm being snotty or whatever. I'm like, I almost didn't finish. My mom was really sick a year
Right at the time. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
before I ended, and I'm like, you guys don't understand. This was painful to
And if I
finish.
say it with sophistication, it's because that's what took to get me through it. Right?
Yeah, so I'm proud of it because
Yeah.
I might not have finished. So that's my journey, and I love working with the kids. And some of those kids are now grown. I just went to one of their she's got married and had a baby, and her mom found me some kind of way, and I went to her baby shower. It was just the connection, and that's been 25 years.
So for those in our audience that do not understand that if you're an ASL interpreter, you can do it medically with children, at
Yes.
church, at concerts,
Yep. You could do it
you know,
everywhere.
you
The
can do it
Olympics,
everywhere.
the Olympics is
Olympic,
coming here.
yeah.
So, but I have an injury from work, so I have not really done it in a while, and my arm still kind of, what is it? Gets discomfort because
Mm-hmm.
of the injury. Because I chose not to have surgery. I just chose to do physical therapy. But I'm really asking God to open up the door to possibly do the Olympics.
Yeah.
It's 5 years, but I have to take some classes,
All
refresher
right.
classes,
Mm-hmm.
all that good stuff. So I got like 3 years to kind of
Figure it out.
figure it out what I'm
Yeah.
going to do. But you might see my face in one of those boxes for the
Here's the
Olympics, you guys.
thing. Here's the thing. That's a once in a lifetime.
That's why I said I might have to figure that one out. So we'll
That's a
see.
once in a lifetime. Yeah. So let's move on. Let's
Hmm.
talk about when I know you wrote this book, but did you write before this book?
No,
No, not.
I, no, I was not technically a writer per se. I just when I was having thoughts about the when I realized I did have vitiligo, any kind of thought, I'm in the car, I'd wake up in the middle of the night, dream, I would just start writing. So over time, I had about 5 to 6 journals of just thoughts about how I was feeling, if I was depressed, if I was sad, if I was happy, depression, crying, all those feelings. And over time, so when the shutdown happened, I say resetting time. I don't call it pandemic. I think all of us needed a reset.
So
That's
did
just
the
my
world.
I think we all need, I call it resetting time. So during that resetting time, I took all those journals and started typing them out and looking at them. I knew it would be a book in the back of my head. I've had the title of the book for probably 13 years in a dream. I
Mm.
just didn't know what it would be my first book. So, and Lonely Sunday has a lot of impact, and I could talk about that later, what it means to me when I say Lonely Sunday. But I just took it all out and then
That's not one of my questions, so we can talk about it right now. Yeah, go ahead.
okay.
Mhm.
So after I did it, I contacted one of William's colleagues who is a USC, who worked for USC. She has a book on bullying. And I talked to her and she gave me the information. And then I talked to a couple other people who have written books. And I just like William's style and what he offered and the fact that he's African American and very, very young, but has such a good head on his shoulder. And I talked to him and we moved forward and went through the process. And I will be honest, I think I procrastinated a little bit. I think out of fear. I think we all have those moments. But he got on me. He's like, okay, Chanell, come on. You didn't pay the money. Let's get this done. And I'm like, okay. And then I just had
Yeah,
to
because
sit.
he's already gone to the bank. He just,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
said, come on, let's get this done.
yeah,
So
exactly.
once I did it, I mean, it's a quick read. It's not real big, and people are already telling me, where's your book two? I'm like, can I get through this book first? Let me kind of sit in it and work some things out, and then I may do a book two. I don't know. Just let me enjoy this. Let me enjoy this process first.
Yeah, it's like
But
birthing a baby, though, really. It
yes,
really is. Once,
yes,
after the journals, from journals to typing, from typing to a
hmm,
publisher. So tell
yes.
me, how is it that you put it together? If it spans so many years, did you put it together by years? Did you put it together by your feelings? Did you how is the book put together?
It kind of it's hard to explain, but William kind of narrowed it down. So all my thoughts, we had to put it in sections, kind of. And
Okay.
then when I went, and then he was like, "Well, let's cut this part down. Let's cut." And then he made me, excuse me, talk to somebody every week, and then they would give me questions, and that's when it got more and more and more because I had forgot some things, and
Yeah.
some of it is childhood related, and I
Okay.
didn't share it all,
Right.
about my maternal side of my family.
Right.
So that's so I just kind of kept it, and you don't share too much, but there's pain there, and
Everybody has trauma, and
yeah,
it just depends on
everybody
how
has
you want to
trauma.
get rid of it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I do believe that you can get rid of that, not rid of it, but you
Yeah,
can release it.
and you could work through it. And the good thing is, while I was writing the book, I was in 1 year of inner healing counseling. I had purposely, because I do work in the mental health space, and being shut down, the resetting time, those four walls were starting to get too much. On top of my job, on top of the vitiligo, on top of life stuff, I had needed to release some stuff. So
Mm.
the inner healing counseling with Miss Givens was a blessing on top of writing a book. And it I feel like I'm a better person. I'm whole. I can definitely say I'm whole. I'm not perfect, but I'm a whole woman. And I know now, looking back, everything happened for a reason.
Absolutely. It always does.
Everything happens for a reason. And let me just touch base about Lonely Sunday, the title. I don't know a lot of people that grew up in church, but as a girl growing up in church, Sundays was a great day for me because I felt like I had a big family because it was just me and my mom. I had family, but when we would go to church, we would be there all day because my mom was always a part of something. And then
Right.
when I was younger, old school church, after church, we would eat. We wouldn't just go home. We would eat, fellowship with everybody, play, and then we go home for a couple hours and we back at church at night. But
Ooh,
always in the back of my head, I would be like, I want to be at home with my family, but it was just me and my mom. We're looking at each other. I'm like, I want to have brothers and sisters. And it felt not lonely that I was alone. I just feel like that sense of loneliness, not having that big family.
mm,
And that's what I meant by that. And then when people say family is everything, I have a different meaning. Family that's toxic, I disagree.
right.
And that's my boundary. If you're toxic, if you're family or blood, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do it. That might mean cruel, but for me, I have to.
Did you grow to that? Because that doesn't
Yes.
just, yeah, right,
And then learning to say no. Sorry, no. And
right.
having boundaries.
And did your illness help you to get there?
That's part of the process,
Okay,
yes.
okay. So
Uh-huh.
let's talk about vitiligo. Now, my son
Hmm.
had it
Hmm.
as a trauma to the skin,
Okay.
right? But the coloring, most of the coloring came back. But
Okay.
you okay, but yours, it's a lack of pigment called melanin, of
Hmm.
course. And
Hmm.
when did you notice the change?
I noticed it after being a caregiver for my mom for 7 years. And I did in my research, it's not everybody. It's if it's in your family, you might get it because
Right,
it's congenital. It's in my maternal side of my family. I don't know how I got it from my maternal side because that's a secret that will never be revealed as far as
right,
I know. My grandmother will never say how we got it.
right.
But because it's in my family, my grandmother had it on my maternal, and then my aunt, one of my aunts, and some of my cousins had it, but I didn't see it as profound as I see it now. Like with the supermodel who I want to meet one day. I want to
Well,
meet.
the difference is that they're not hiding it anymore. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, that's right,
the
right.
makeup and all that. You know.
So long story short, I was like, I after she was settled and stable, I noticed on the back of my neck that's where it started. I had a little teeny pin on the back of my neck that was a white spot. And then, of course, over time, about 2 weeks later, I went to get my hair done, and my hairdresser said, Chanel, you see that little white spot on the back of the neck? I said, yeah, I did. And then over time, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's when internally I knew something was up. And then over time, I started getting in other places on my body, on my hands. It's not real prevalent, but you can see little spots on my hands. And then I do have it on little areas of my face, but I do cover it with makeup. Um, but now I honestly was living in shame because like it get hot out here. And I have it on my arms, my elbows, and I will be burning up hot. And everybody say, well, aren't you hot? Oh no, I'm not. I'm not hot. I'm hot. But I didn't want nobody to know. But that's
Mm,
also a trick of the enemy to keep us shameful and isolated. And then that's why I said the 1 year of inner healing counseling was a deliverance for me. And writing this book, I had to get it out. And then also accepting that this is who I am. And whoever's in my life got to accept me for me and the way I look without the makeup on or
but
the clothes.
did you have an image issue before vitiligo?
I think all women in some ways have a little
Okay.
self-esteem issue, but I probably had it more than others, but not to the extent that I wanted to do anything. My dad always told me I was beautiful. So that's the one thing. I didn't have no problem with self-esteem. My dad said, you're beautiful. And I believed him. and then just, relationships wise. But I think when you are not secure in yourself, there's going to be a problem. And because I was always struggling with weight problems,
Right.
always on a diet, always trying to lose weight, always this. And then when you're dating and then things don't go right, is it me? What's wrong with me? That kind of stuff. And then I always kind of thought about, if I do have this, will anybody accept me if I am in a relationship? And
Mm,
I'm not married. You asked me a question and I don't have a husband yet.
right.
I, but I will be happily married one day. I just don't know when. But in the meantime, I'm living my life and traveling the world and doing what I need to do.
So what is vitiligo an autoimmune
Yes, it
thing?
is.
Okay,
It's
so
an autoimmune.
uh-huh. Do they call it a disease or they call it something else? A skin
They just call it an
abnormality?
autoimmune. They just call it. Most people call it an autoimmune disease because they don't really know why people get it or why you have it, or the whole reason. So I put in the book about uh, the doctor that I found. She's the leading vitiligo doctor, and she's African American out here in California. In
Of course you
California,
would have to be. Well, white people have it too now. They do.
yeah. But her Dr. Pearl Grimes she's really really well known out here, and so I went to her and got some more things to kind of help keep it at bay. But I'm very holistic because of my mom's health issue, so I use things to keep me at bay. I don't eat a lot of things. I think food is another thing that we don't really talk about, and I'm almost at the journey to become a vegetarian or a vegan again and try that and see if that might help. I'm noticing, and I don't eat everything. Like I don't eat beef or pork. That's by choice for over 30 something years. But I'm at a point now that I might give myself a chance to do the vegan lifestyle and see if that might be something that might work for me. But we'll see.
I've had great success on intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems to be my best way to kind of keep it at, keep your weight at one level as opposed to going up and going down. So,
Oh yeah. I'm
um,
I'm obsessed with. I don't say lose because lose you can find it.
all right.
I really I'm really at the point in my life to use powerful words.
Yes.
So
Okay.
I
I'll
say
take it.
extinguished. I'm not
Extinguished. Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
getting it back. So I have extinguished
Yeah.
70.
I
I
like
have
it. I'm going to use it if you don't
I've
mind. I'm going
extinguished
to
70
wait a minute.
70 pounds in a year and a couple months.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So
Um,
I'm very happy.
I
I
like
work
extinguished.
out
Yeah.
all the time. And I work out a lot at home and walk a lot. So I've been doing a beach body program
Hmm.
and containers, the small containers. I think we eat too much in one sitting. So it's works for me, and the accountability, because I could be a lone ranger and I noticed that being a lone ranger sometimes does not work.
Right.
You need people to kind of accountable. So I'll get a message. How you doing this week? Doing the exercise? How you eating? That helps. That could be helpful.
I saw a video once about the two women being on a diet and they were both on the phone eating hamburgers, right? Oh yeah,
Oh,
girl.
you can have a
I had a,
hamburger, just
I
might
had
not
a
the
style,
whole
I had a
thing.
salad today, you know what I'm saying? So yeah,
Not the whole
sometimes
thing.
you have to, you have to have a good accountability partner.
That's true. That's true.
So there's no cure for vitiligo. Is that correct?
That, from what I hear, no.
Mhm. So tell us how you have been so resilient in the process. I mean,
It's the
that's
Lord.
yeah,
Because
okay.
the scripture that says that I am in Psalms 139 139 and 14. I am fearfully and wonderfully made by God. So me getting this, I don't consider it. At first I thought it was why me, but there's a reason why. And this book came out of it. It was birthed out of why I have it. And I
Do you
hope
give
to
any tips
encourage somebody.
in the book about okay, tell us about a few of
I talked about the stages of grief. It's just like anything.
yeah.
You go through those stages where you got to And I even said at the end of my book, I don't know if I'm at the acceptance stage. And I don't know if I ever will be at the acceptance stage. But I went through all those stages of grief many times. And one day I might be in a good spot, and then one day I'm not. But that's just being human.
Is
We
that
all
grief because of your skin
just
disease or
both,
life in general?
just the skin, the
Mm-hmm.
skin.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at yourself, it's not who you thought you would be as you gotten older. I did not think I would have this when I got it at 42 years old, 41, 42 years old. And now as I'm getting older, I see it more prominent in areas of my body. But I don't know if it's because I'm older when I'm eating. So that's the secret now that I'm trying to figure out, because I don't want it to get more prominent if I can stop it. For me personally.
But are you willing to accept it and go
Oh
without
yeah.
makeup? Okay.
I don't know if I'm gonna say accept, like I said at the book, and I'm being honest. I don't know if I can accept it, but I know that God is gonna take care of me no matter what. And that's what keeps me grounded.
There are things that you cannot change, right?
No, that's
So
true.
I have a really good friend who has baldness in women. It's in the
Uh-huh.
family. Not much you can do about
Mm-hmm.
it. I believe that it's DNA based, whatever. It really has
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with alopecia. It is
Yeah.
an immune disease from the family. And she says the only way she is going to accept it is when it's all over. But for right now, she's going to have hair, right?
I
So
understand.
that's an acceptance, right?
That's
To
right. That's
say
true.
that okay, well, the
I
way that
accept it now because before
yeah,
I told you I would hide.
yeah.
So like it, I went to a concert, had my arms out. I can care less. A lot of people still don't know that I have it. But when they see it, they're like, "Wow, should I never knew." Because I am confident and I'm friendly. I try to treat people with kindness without, letting it be. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm moving forward. I'm doing what I need to do in my life, and at this point in my life, I am happy and
The
I'm
thing you
whole.
didn't understand is how many people just don't care. Don't care.
But that's them.
I mean, we
It's
don't care about that the fact that you have it. You
exactly.
probably were really surprised when people say, oh, okay.
I
So
know my true friends did
yeah.
not care. That's true. My true friends was like,
Yeah.
"What?" Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. So you still going out? Right? Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, you just have to make sure you surround yourself with people who know who you are and accept who you are.
Exactly.
Now, where I got this question about the husband was in your bio.
And
And
I,
you
but
said you
I
wished your father could have,
have met him, but
right.
he's not here yet.
Oh, but he's not here yet.
That's what I'm saying by that. I know. See, Miss Tony's cracking up laughing, but it's the truth. I would have loved for him to have met him if he was still alive, but he's not.
Okay. Okay.
That's what I meant by that.
It's like,
Because
I
I,
didn't
like
know
I
I
told you,
read that somewhere.
I'm a daddy's girl, and I've
Mhm.
always wanted my father to be a part of my life, to meet the person that I will eventually marry, and that's okay. But I have my village, and my village are two. They're like my brothers from other mothers. They don't play. They gonna vet them, so I'll be all right.
The gentleman that you had your daughter
Uh-huh.
by,
Oh, he's
that was
married. Oh no.
okay. Okay, married now. But are you looking for that particular kind of person? Because that's a whole different.
I was 16. He was 18.
Well, my parents were like
Yeah, I
17.
know. I'm good.
They loved each other, right? So
Yeah, so
those
I
they
got
do, love stories like that do happen, right?
yeah, no.
Um, so talk about this inner healing counseling. What is that?
Okay. There's so many different levels, and maybe I'll send you the information with Faith, who is the counselor that I went through.
Okay.
Long story short, I was listening to a ministry online, and I had been looking for a counselor, and I work in that field, and everybody was full because of the shutdown. And I said, Lord, I need to talk to somebody. And so I'm looking, and on the counseling that I was looking at, I said, Lord, you're going to just drop the person in my lap. I already know it because I looked for 10 people. Everybody was full. And she was on that broadcast. And when she said, you could be trained, you can have everything. But if you don't listen to the Holy Ghost, because the Holy Ghost is going to break the yokes of whatever is going on with you. When she said that, I was on my phone because she's right. You got to get to this part, the inner part of wherever the trauma is. And I don't care how many degrees you got. If you hear from the Holy Ghost, God's going to bless that person. So I immediately contacted her, and she had different kinds, but the inner healing is what I felt would benefit me. And it was, childhood stuff, my parents' stuff. And I'm a counselor, and there's a term where they say, uh, uh, in Erickson stages of development. You can look that up, or Maslow hierarchy of needs. Wherever your crack in your foundation is, or wherever the trauma was in your life, that sometimes you revert back to. So when my parents got divorced at 7 and I moved all the way to the West Coast, that was my crack. And I needed to go back and really talk about my feelings in inner healing counseling on top of other stuff, other childhood traumas, other relationships, and then the vitiligo as well, and talk about all that. And so that's why the inner healing for me, and I did it for a whole year, every month scheduled and did it. I snotted, I cried, I got angry. She gave me homework assignments. It was not easy, but
were
I was
you face to face or
just
video?
like this, just like this on Zoom.
Would
Because
do
she
you
lived
think
in another state. She lived in Florida.
do you think that you would not have been as open face to face?
No, I would have, because I'm open to counseling, so
Okay.
I have no problem. I might have been more, I don't know, but oh, I got mad a few times. I was like, you want me to do what? She was like, it's not about you. Get over it. I mean, she would. she, so yeah, she's great. So I will definitely send you her information.
Um, uh, the counselor I have has a counselor
Uh-huh.
because they have to,
Yeah,
have someone to go to. Everybody
that's
needs
true.
somebody to go to, right?
Yes. And every now and then we'll check in with each other if I need something. She doesn't, she moved to another state, but if I need something, I'll be like, okay, can we talk? Can we schedule a consultation? And I'm good because I work in the mental health space. So sometimes I do need to talk to somebody.
Tell me how it is that you either do or could get involved with youth with vitiligo.
Oh, wow, that's a great question. I don't know how, because that's something I would be interested in. I would be interested in it if I can find a place that I could do it with. I don't know. You just got me thinking now.
Well, I'm just, it's not.
Because self-esteem has a lot to do with it, and self-image has a lot to do with it.
Well, I think if they understand that, um, I have a lot of moles, right? So when I was
Mm-hmm.
younger, I used to think, man, why do I get all of them, right?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
But then I met other people in my family, and I said, oh, she got as many as I do, right? So
Yes.
it's a recognition of you're not being the only one, right?
Exactly.
Having somebody older who looks
Mm-hmm.
just like you with as many moles. So I'm
Yes.
saying that you could be a good connection with younger or young adults, right?
Yes.
That say, listen, you can grow up with this, and it's
That's
okay,
right. And it's okay. That's
and it's
true.
okay, right? That would be, you know, you got yours at an older age, but
Yes.
most of that, I think my son started at 12,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, that's young. That's
When
at
he
that
had
puberty age. That's
when
that
he had an
puberty.
injury, and
Mm-hmm.
it just wasn't coming back, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and it was in a prominent place, right?
Okay.
So yeah. Um, and it would have been nice to have somebody like you to say, you know, this is no big deal. This is how we
It's no
get
big deal.
together, right?
Yes.
So now that I have to talk about your husband that you don't have, that's too funny.
One day, and if not, it's okay. I've come to this point, and that's what the one thing about growth is you have to be happy with yourself. You can't be
Right.
happy. Somebody else can't make you happy. So I'm
Would
very
you
happy.
reach out to someone who is there an association of vitiligo people?
I've been told it is.
Yeah.
And because right now, after writing a book and being in inner healing counseling, I have to be honest. I have disconnected with any social media ever. I'm just
Oh,
like so fearless. And it probably is out there, and I haven't really looked and researched about it. But at this point right now, I'm just trying to deal with the book and deal with life and some other goals that I got. I have a social media person that handles my social media page, but I can't even tell you if I looked at it 6 months ago.
I guess my question was, would you consider being with someone who had the same
Uh,
you just right?
if
So
as
that
long as we have the same like mind and same like goals, oh yeah, I have no problem. As long as they love the Lord and they're gonna serve God, we good.
let's see a copy of the book. Of course, I don't have a copy. So if you
Oh,
have it right
okay.
there, okay. So it's Lonely Sunday, right?
Hmm. Yeah, you can see it right there.
I didn't. Yeah, I was wondering why you called it Lonely Sunday. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. It has a lot of impact. And as I said, probably 12 years ago, I had a dream about that title. And I saw the beach in the back of the dream. And I woke up and I was like, okay, what's that? And I wrote it down because I write little notes. And I told my I called my village, and they were like, keep that title. That's gonna come back later. And now look, Lonely
have you
Sunday.
ever decided to do a TED Talk on something that like the dot became a circle?
Um, now that now you just come on, Donna.
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
It's just so interesting you said that because I did reach out for a TED Talk and
You
I
should
haven't
do
heard
it.
back.
No,
I
no,
reached
no.
out, I
But did
emailed and did all that kind of stuff just about the TED, but I never even thought that the dot became a circle. Wow.
dot became a circle? And
Okay.
did you tell them what you wanted to talk about?
I just put whatever they had asked me, I have it in my email.
No, you gotta be.
I was condensed and precise, but now that you said that, okay.
Yeah, yeah. You need to let them know the dot became a circle and
Oh
how you
wow.
deal with that. That's millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not
Yeah.
here out here with vitiligo by yourself.
Oh no, I know that.
Right.
I know that.
And it's an autoimmune disease that we as melanated people don't talk about.
No, we don't. We do not talk about it.
And and some of these churches, I love you for being very churchy, but those are the ones that say, girl, you need to cover that up. You know.
Oh,
Some
I've heard
churches aren't as
as embracive. I get
right.
you. I
And
told
you
you.
could be the one to break that. This
That's
could
true.
be this is not only your book, this is your statement. This is maybe your mission to move
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit further
Mm-hmm.
past where you are right now, especially with children. The TED Talk would be fabulous if you would do it with makeup, go off stage, and come out without.
With that. Oh yeah. I've already been, I'll be honest with you, and I know I don't want to sound, but you know that I'm not too holy that I'm not any earthly good. I just
Right,
want y'all to know that.
right,
Okay. I
right,
have balance.
right, 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 right,
What I say that is I've come to the point, if I need to do that, I will. Now I'm not gonna say I'm comfortable doing it,
right.
and I could be honest with that, but I will if I need to.
The impact is so important. When we were fighting for alopecia and
yes.
having monies to get it, I said to the director, go to the commission, give your pitch, and take off your hat.
Okay. Wow. Okay. No, and then as I said, I want to work with Winnie Harlow, and I know with her, she has it. So I'm gonna have to show my arms.
You're
I'm gonna
gonna
have to
have to
show my
do it.
elbows. I'm gonna have to. So, but that's okay. Pay me to show
Right.
it.
That's
I don't
what I'm
have a problem.
saying. That's what I'm saying.
And there's a scripture in the Bible that says your gifts will make room for you. So hey, I'm okay with that. Now I'm not gonna be raising my hand to do it right away.
But I mean, it really is
Time.
something. It is a stream of income.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Thank you for saying that.
no problem. I appreciate you being forthright and honest about it. A lot of people are still,
Mhm.
hiding it. Um, and when you do get to a certain age, you know,
Mhm.
hidden figures is just not something you want to do anymore.
No, you don't.
Too much time. It takes too much effort. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, do you have any words of encouragement for people suffering with vitiligo?
I mean, I tell everybody's individual journey is their own individual journey, but I say do not live in shame. Please don't live in shame, as I did for so many years. I have freedom now that I have went through the inner healing counseling, and people I know love me no matter what. And
Right.
then writing this book has been a game changer for me personally. Um, and then I will say this: when I was going through my counseling, there was this statement. You know how people say, "Well, what about me?" And they point the fingers out, the two
Yeah.
fingers out, but you
Yeah.
got three fingers coming back.
Right.
So I had to come to the point, what part do I play in any of the
Right.
decisions that I make? Where did I go wrong? Or do I need to say I'm sorry? Or do I need to say, you know what? I'm wrong because I have these three coming back to me and I'm not only focused on these two going out to whoever I'm talking to
Mm-hmm.
or whatever relationship it is. So
Yeah.
if I can give you those words of wisdom,
That's your pearl of wisdom?
then
Yeah.
hey,
Okay.
we got to grow. And I want to be a whole. And then I'll say, I am a whole person now. And everything happens for a reason. So when my spouse does
Every
come, we could travel the world and be happy.
That is too funny. I thought,
Because I love being, look, I got my suitcases in the hallway right now. I'm like, I'm ready to go.
well, I'm glad a lot of people at a certain age give up on love, give up on finding that partner that nobody makes you whole, right?
No.
But
Mm-mm.
maybe picks up your other half because he can't
Mhm.
make you whole, right? And it's really
Exactly.
nice to hear that you still are willing to, somebody, there was a statement I read the other day, and it says, is it harder to like someone or to love
Oh, wow. That's a good question.
someone, right? And as you get older, the like becomes more prevalent than the
Hmm.
love.
Because that's your friend.
That's
Everybody that I know that's happily married, all my friends say I might be mad at my husband, but I can go out on my date with my boyfriend, my
right.
friend, and vice versa. Because I have male friends that are married, and they say the same thing. Now I might mad at my wife, but let's go out, girl.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and I think that's really a
mm-mm.
testament to you with all you've been through. Um,
Oh
oh,
wow! I just
oh,
saw
I'm
that.
sorry, Mama Tony.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry
maybe you
too.
should put them together,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sorry.
Turn your mic on, Mama Tony.
Yeah,
I mean, if
Mhm.
that lady needs
that's living in
encouragement, yeah,
that's living in shame.
She
And maybe
stopped
hers
doing
might be.
everything. She got out of the book club. She doesn't even come to our Zoom book club meetings. And then when she was coming, she wouldn't turn her camera on. And then as it began to progress and get worse, then she just quit coming. And back a couple of months ago, she actually wrote a letter resigning from the even being a
Oh,
member of the book club.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And we've tried, we keep reaching out to her until it doesn't matter to us,
Hmm.
we just don't care. But
but
Yeah.
you don't have it. See, if you could put them together with somebody who does and is
yeah,
going through it, and maybe it might not help, but it would be
It
an
might not.
encouragement, right? Don't you
I'll
think?
send I'll send you my email
Yeah,
okay,
because I don't do the social media, so
right.
okay,
And
not
maybe,
right now.
I told my friend the other day who lost a childhood friend. They know each other since they were 5. They grew up
Hmm.
together. He
Hmm.
just died here recently. And I said, You know, if you just want to breathe on the phone, you don't have to say anything,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
She may not have anything to say.
She might not.
May just want to breathe on the phone to somebody else who knows what she's going
Mhm.
through.
Exactly.
You know, the first couple of times there might not be any conversation,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
yeah, that would be really nice. Yeah,
Yeah. So have her reach out to me.
yeah. Thank you, Mama Tony. A closed
Put
mouth
it
does not get fed.
and put it in the memo, please, so I'll know who she is. Because if I don't recognize the email, it will not get answered.
Right. Understood. Understood. All right, everybody. Thank you, Chanel. Thank you, everybody,
Oh,
for being here
thank
this
you,
evening.
Donna.
Always a pleasure spending Monday nights with the gang at Zoom and on the Fresh Conversation. Chanel, this is not going to be our last conversation.
Oh, thank you.
We'll have you back, especially when you meet that man. We're going to talk about that. So.
Okay.
When the lights go out and the cell phone towers go down, all you have left is a flashlight and a good book. Thank you, everybody, for being on Zoom and on a Fresh Conversation. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.